Hello, this is Marcus Lee, and today I'll be doing 7th grade math, Wylock lesson 26. Okay, so number 1 is asking us to evaluate the expressions, and we're given the square root of 45. Now we know that 45 is not a perfect or complete square, so we have to find the factors of it instead, and we'll be given 9 and 5, and then we realize that 9 is a perfect square after we break it down. And also, if you want to break it down and find pairs, we can do that as well. So, since we found a pair of 3, we put 3 on the outside, and then we're left with 5 right here. So 5 stays in the radical. So we get 3 times the square root of 5. Rad 64, or square root of 64 for number 2. And this one is a complete square, so that's just 8. Number 5, we have rad 35. This is not a perfect square, so we want to separate it into factors. We get 7 and 5 when we break this down, but we realize that we can't break this down any farther, right? Because 7 and 5 are both prime numbers, and when we're looking for square roots, we need to find pairs or perfect squares or something of the sort, and here we don't have any. So actually, in this situation, our answer, we can't do anything to simplify it any further, so we're just left with the square root of 35. Using square roots to solve quadratic equations. Number 1, we have 4x squared equals 40. We're solving for x, so we want to divide both sides by 4. We get x squared equal to 10. Square root both sides, and x is equal to plus or minus square root of 10. If you're wondering why it's plus or minus, it's because what x squared equals 10 essentially means is what number times itself is equal to 10, right? And if you've noticed, positive numbers times themselves will equal positive numbers, and also negative numbers times themselves will equal negative numbers. For example, negative 5 times negative 5 is a positive 25. That's just an example to show that even negative numbers can be in our solutions. So in this case, it'd be plus or minus 10, square root of 10. Meaning basically, one of our solutions is positive square root of 10, and one is negative square root of 10. Because when we multiply each of these by themselves, we'll still get positive 10. Number 3, we have b squared minus 8 is equal to 8. Or, not 0, 8. Now we want to add 8 on both sides. And when we do that, we get b squared is equal to 16. We want to square root both sides to get b alone. And 16 is a complete square, so we'll get plus or minus 4 equals b. Moving on, we have 2x squared minus 32 is equal to 0. And like last question, we want to move the constant over, so we get 2x squared is equal to 32. Divide both sides by 2. X squared is equal to 16. Take the square root of both sides, and we're left with x equals plus or minus 4, because 16 is a complete square. And moving on to our last question, we have x squared plus 6 is equal to 13. We want to subtract 6 from both sides. X squared is equal to 13 minus 6 is 7. And we want to square root both sides, so we'll get x is equal to the square root of 7. Now what's the square root of 7? 7 is a prime number, so we can't find the factors of it, so there's no other steps because we cannot simplify square root of 7, so we just throw in our plus or minus. radical 7, and that's our answer. And this is a relatively quick but simple lesson today, and I hope that was helpful.